Hey, good morning. It's May 12th, Thursday. Thanks so much for being here today. Just one more day to get your questions in for Q&A Friday Part 2, which we'll have tomorrow. So again, great questions coming in. Looking forward to being able to respond to those with you tomorrow. So thanks again for your encouragement. I'm going to continue looking at difficult people this morning. We talked about 3 ways yesterday that we can understand and deal with difficult people. But this morning, I want to talk specifically about why are there difficult people? Well, the short and easy answer is because of sin. And God places difficult people in our lives, not through happenstance, but for many reasons and purposes, the most important of which is, can we honor him? And again, I'm going to make 3 categories of difficult people. The first category, and I can't stress this enough, is a whole category of people who are abusers. Not just people you can't get along with, but people who actually delight in abuse. Whether that's in a marriage situation or abusive parent, you're going to find people that are just given to abuse. And in the playlist I have on repentance and forgiveness, I get into quite a lengthy discussion about how to deal with those situations, how to identify it. So I won't repeat that here, except just to say I'm not talking about, in this video this morning, about people who are actual abusers who ought to be prosecuted by the state, disciplined by the church, and them not being allowed to continue in their abusive patterns. And the second category is things we can't necessarily deal with immediately. That would be people in abusive people in power, teachers, sometimes bullies at school, sometimes you run across situations people who are abusive in the particular little power world that they have. We have abusive politicians, certainly. And that's, again, another class. I can't directly deal with that, except to pray, to be wise, and to try and not be in the situation as possible, but to realize, again, that over both of these 2 categories, God is sovereign, and there is hope in dealing with them. Not just to be passive and to accept the abuse, but he's given us ways to handle it. But the third category, which is what I want to address this morning, is the difficult people in our lives that we have in our day-to-day relationships that are not abusive in that sense I just used it, but that they're hard to get along with. In those situations, why are they difficult? Why are they hard? Well, the short and easy answer is, for us, is because we think they are. Don't get excited. I'm not excusing their sin. I'm not saying they're not difficult, but we're making an assessment. This is a difficult person. So I make this assessment that this person is difficult. That means I don't have to deal with it directly because they are so difficult. But the Lord in his word has some particular ways for us not to give in to that way of thinking. Because if we label somebody difficult, we shift all the burden over to them and we become victims. And for this third category, that's not what God's talking about. Jesus actually addresses this in the Gospels. In Matthew, in the chapters that we refer to as chapter 7, he says this: "Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank, the log, in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, 'Let me take that speck out of your eye,' when all the time you have a plank, a log, in your own eye? You hypocrite. First take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly how to remove the speck that is from your brother's eye." So what Jesus is saying here, he's not saying this person with the speck cannot be irritating or difficult, he's saying before you start trying to address where they are, address where you are. See, sometimes people are difficult because of the way we respond. Do we respond to people with belief and hope? Are we thankful to God for this person? Do we have the courage to see the good in them? To look beyond this ugly behavior at the moment, which in fact may be there. But we're not supposed to be passive about this. We're not just supposed to complain. God has something to do, but for us to do. But before I can help, Jesus is very clearly saying, before you're going to help that person over there with this relatively small thing in their eye, you've got this log, this forest, this plank in your own eye. And every time you turn your head right to the left, destruction happens. So you're going to help somebody, and the first thing you help them, this big plank smacks them upside the head. Hey, I'm going to help you with that plank, that speck. Why are you being so irritable? And you just knocked him over 10 feet by this massive plank in your own eye. See, that's the analogy that Jesus is drawing. He's not saying they're not difficult. What he's saying is, figure out first where you are. What are the issues that you might be having? Is there something in your life that is being irritating to that person? Are you honoring them? Are you seeing them as a creature made in God's image? Are you seeing them, as we looked about in yesterday's video, as an opportunity to show the mercy and glory of God? Do you respond to their seemingly negative responses with something other than just, I can't stand that? Or are you actively working to see the good in them, or to see the good in what they're saying so you can change? Are you recognizing that God has brought these difficult people in these relationals, in this third category of relationships, to cause you to interact with them, to bless them, to honor God, and therefore wind up being a blessing to you? So in this third category, the category you can actually do something about, many, many times, if we follow the teaching of what Solomon is saying in the Proverbs, our gentle, pleasant, wise responses can actually bring a change about in that person and turn them from being a difficult person into being a closest ally. Some of my best friends are the ones who have spoken sharply to me in the right sense. And instead of being angry, I tried to learn. Someone who could be classified as difficult is actually someone giving you the opportunity to learn and grow. And then, when you have gotten rid of this massive piece of lumber on your eye, then maybe you can help that person out with their difficulty, with their speck. Just something to ponder. Don't forget those first two categories I mentioned. I'm not talking about abuse here. I'm talking about how we can make difficult relationships something that we could turn into the blessing of God and bring healing. And that's one of the reasons why people in this third category are difficult and why God placed them in our lives. And that's the thought for this day. Thanks so much for being here. Check us out at everydaytalk247.com. If you haven't subscribed, turn on post notifications. Videos will come right to you. Thank you so much for being here, for the support that many of you give. It is so encouraging. And get your questions in, and Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow. You have a great day. Bye-bye.